Hey guys, Grim Claws here, where I may be grim, but my reviews don't have to be as long as the product is good. Now this is going to be a little bit different than my other videos. This actually isn't going to be a review. I do reviews on products, people, things. Like I have an in-depth 3-part ASMR video coming out within the next month. I've put a lot of work into it, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Products, I have a Acer Nitro 5 2021 gaming laptop review coming out, Bluetooth headphone review, dash cam review, a lot of things. The ASMR will also incorporate kind of like a people type review, and in a short I mentioned, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but that I will be officially starting streaming on Twitch, and I will be streaming Hearthstone Mercenaries. I have pre-ordered every pack, or every pre-order bundle, you could say, that they offer. So that's the Diamond Lich King bundle, the Diamond Diablo bundle, and the Legendary Sylvanas bundle. And we will be opening all of those on stream on October 12th. I did promise a 12-hour stream since it's October 12th, and I kind of wanted to fit together, but I just found out I'm starting a new job today. Or rather, today I found out I'm starting a new job on Wednesday. So because of that, it'll probably be closer to a 6-hour stream. I'll start streaming when I get home, which should be around 5-6 o'clock at night. And that's basically going to be the test for the review for the Acer Nitro 5 gaming laptop, of how that stream goes, how everything works, how fast everything boots up. But we're going to open all the packs, see what they actually contain, what these experience cards are, and these hero points, as well as the portraits, different heroes, how to upgrade different heroes, why the hell Blizzard chose to have you upgrade your village with gold, and why they just completely messed up the entire introduction to something that seems so huge, a whole new game mode. You know, it's basically a gacha game. It seems like a cross between Raid Shadow Legends and Hearthstone. But it does have some unique characteristics in it, and I am very interested in playing it, and I hope you guys are too. So that's just some stuff coming down the pipeline. But I also do have... Well, first I should explain I'm a man of many hats, not just this one. I have 7 medical certifications, 5 Microsoft certifications, an associate's degree in automotive technology, ASE certified in suspension work, and my main state inspection license to inspect vehicles, as well as a background in physics and science. So I know a lot about a lot of things. So kind of like in a Kyle Hill fashion, I will be doing some live streams where they're just Q&As, where you guys can buzz in, ask me questions on space, physics, automotives, video games, pretty much whatever you want, and I'll help you answer them, or we can just have a good conversation about them. So this video is basically a new type of video that I'm going to be trying to do as well, along with my reviews, and it's called Across the Table. The reason it's called Across the Table is it's kind of a pod style format with me across the table from you, and just diving into some interesting things. So today's topic is DMT, and how it can be used to, well, travel to different dimensions and different parts of space faster than light. Now there are very many theories out there of how to do this. Wormholes, maybe entering black holes, although whoever attempts that first, you're a very brave individual, and props to you. But there's also, you know, these new M drives coming out, like the Chinese are building. Basically, these are drives that use microwave radiation, and the microwaves bounce off extremely fast the sides of the drive, and each little bump they make creates friction, which creates heat, which creates energy. And that can, I can't remember the exact numbers, but basically, instead of taking, what is it, like 9 months to get to Mars, they could do it in like 3, I believe it is. They could get out of the solar system like like you wouldn't believe, you know, if they can actually achieve this M drive. They're working on that. There's also the warp drive, which I'm sure you guys have heard about, you know, think of Star Trek and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% certain on how the warp drive works, but you can easily look it up with a Google search. We could do that right now, but it would interrupt the video the way I have this set up. But that's just another theory. But there's a hypothesis, I believe, that a lot of scientists are overlooking. Now, what this comes down to is DMT. And if you haven't heard of DMT, I suggest you look up the name Terence Mckenna. He also has a brother as well who helped with his work. But Terence Mckenna was a pioneer of psychedelic drugs, especially DMT. You might know it by its other name called Ayahuasca. And Ayahuasca is what Peruvian shamans use to communicate with their ancestors, or the gods, or basically communicate with people outside of this realm. Now, the interesting thing to this is DMT is excreted from the pineal gland in your brain, and it is the most reuptaked chemical of all. So basically, your body reuptakes this chemical faster than any other chemical on the planet. Why? Well, people are still trying to figure that out. Also, it is only present during 3 times in your life. 1 is when you were born, so when you come into this world. 2 is when you're dreaming, so when you escape your conscious reality and go into what could be considered a sub-reality or a dreaming state reality. And number 3 is when you die, when you leave this world. So the hypothesis goes like this. Yes, there's M drives which could increase speed to get through local space, and that's great. Warp drives, if they can manage to make those, even better. I mean, if we could figure out cold fusion, that would be an enormous bounce in the right direction of just traveling faster. But we're never going to be able to travel faster than light. Even if you think of quantum entanglement, and when 2 particles are quantumly entangled, if you disrupt one, even if the other one is, say, 12 billion light years away, it'll automatically disentangle with the other one. If you affect one, you affect the other. It's instantaneous. Now, rule 1 of quantum mechanics is that you cannot send anything faster than light, even information. So this is kind of a gray area, because this kind of almost breaks that, but not really, because they define it in a slightly different way of quantum entanglement. But basically, even if these 2 particles are 12 billion light years away, which is a long ways away, then if you were to disrupt one, it would automatically disentangle the other one and cause a change at the other one. So technically, that information would be moving faster than the speed of light, which is impossible. But yet somehow it happens. Things get weird when you get to the quantum level. So, with all of that said, let's go back to Terence Mckenna. Now, Terence Mckenna was an advocate for many psychedelic drugs. And not just because this guy liked to get high. No, he did proper research on it. And he actually passed it on to a doctor after him who continued doing research on it. Now, for those of you who haven't done DMT or been to Peru and tried an ayahuasca tradition, then it basically goes like this. It is an illegal drug, so unless you go to Peru and get permission and all that, then you are doing something illegal. So I don't recommend doing this. That's personally why I haven't done this. I've just done the research on it to understand what everything means. But basically, Terence Mckenna, the first time he took DMT, it blew his mind. It was different than anything that he had ever experienced. And the Peruvians down in the areas where they do the ayahuasca rituals were very smart, because they realized not only do they have to they take a bunch of leaves, basically, put them in a pot with water, mush them around, and extract the DMT from the leaves. But they realized that the body re-uptook it so quickly. Like I said, it's the fastest chemical the body can reuptake. Like, it almost instantly gets reuptaken by your body, which is crazy to even think about. They realized this, and they found a bark from a different tree that contained an alkaline in it that, when ingested, created an enzyme that slowed down the reuptake of DMT to actually allow it to stay in your body long enough to cause an effect. So that's why ayahuasca rituals can last 16, sometimes 30 hours, really depends on the dose. These are just some bare facts about the stuff. DMT, if obtained and smoked illegally and not put through the ayahuasca process, basically is like a 5-minute acid trip, but not like acid, I'll get to that in a second, that feels like you're gone for a couple of years, and basically lasts usually no longer than 5 to 8 minutes. You take one hit and you'll start to feel a little different, let's say. You'll start getting refractals, or I believe that's what they're called. Basically, your vision will start to see geometric shapes. I believe they're called fractals. You take another hit, that will become like all you can see, and eventually they'll all break away, and just like you'll feel like you're blind, but you're not really blind. You're just not seeing anything. You're now seeing a completely different reality. And it's at this point where most people are like, holy shit, I can't take another hit of this. And so they go on this, what they feel like is an extreme acid trip, and then they come down and they realize it's only been 5 minutes, it blows their mind, yada, yada, yada. Had they taken that one more hit, they'll reach the point that Terence Mckenna calls blasting off or rocketing off. Basically, at this point, right when you feel like the fractals have come in your eyes and you're tripping your balls off already, and they've disintegrated and you feel like you're blind, if you take that one extra hit, it'll make you feel like you're rocketing off like a rocket ship. Then he says when you arrive, or you feel like you've arrived where the rocket ship is bringing you, you break through what he called the chrysanthemum. And the chrysanthemum, it could be akin to like coming out of the womb, or like some type of alien membrane or something like that you break through. And as soon as you break through it, you're all of a sudden in a different area. Now this is important to later on in the video, so keep that in mind. When Terence did this, he experienced what he called little DMT gnomes, or elves. And basically, these elves would do impossible things. They could sing things into existence. But they greeted him, hey, how are you? It's been so long since we've seen you. You know, we're glad to see you here. We're glad that you're back. And that's strange to me, you know, that you go to a place and you see entities you've never seen before that can do impossible things. Some of the impossible things were like he would get gifts from them and they would sing them into existence. So their words would physically be seen and manifest in their hand what, like little toys and gems or other things. So that's just really kind of mind-boggling. But you say, okay, well, this guy's tripping on some psychedelic drug, completely explainable. Again, like I said, all of this is important to the actual research of it and why this could be the key to traveling to different dimensions and just different parts of our own universe as well. So Terence explained all that, and he then decided to do a research study on it, which he was approved for. I believe it was 50 to 60 patients. He dosed them all with the proper amount of DMT to get them to rocket off and break through the chrysanthemum. These people were all kept apart from each other, and their answers were all given independently. They did not allow them to communicate to each other after the procedure. Every single one of these 50 to 60 people told the exact same story, with minor details changed. They all said their visions fractaled. They felt like they were going blind, but then all of a sudden they took off in a rocket, or they were propelled. They use different terminology. Obviously, people speak differently. I up here in Maine obviously use some different words. My cadence is a little bit different than somebody, say, down in Kentucky or, like Missouri, Wisconsin area. So, like, they use different words and phrases, but for the most part, it's exactly the same. So they rocketed off, or were propelled, and they had a feeling that they had to break through a wall or a membrane, or, like I said, like they were being reborn. Every one of them said this without talking to the other people. Not even, I don't even think they knew how many other people there were in the exact, excuse me for a second, getting really close right here. I always have my vape in my video, but the exact amount of people that were in the study and the exact dosages that were given. They might have, but again, this happened decades and decades ago. A study like this would have to go through a lot to get approval today, and I don't even think they would allow it. But Terence Mckenna did it. Unfortunately, he died, I believe, of a brain tumor later on in his life at the age of 53, and he passed on his work to another doctor who continued doing these trials. And throughout all of these trials, everybody said the fractals, the feeling like they're going blind, the blasting off or propelling, the breaking through something. And this is where it gets more interesting. And I said the previous stuff was important to what's coming up. And that is that they actually, every single one of them said they were greeted on the other side. Now, what they were greeted by was almost different for every single person, or some of them use the phrase like words don't do justice to what I saw, basically. Some people met up with what you could call like little gnomes like Terence Mckenna did, or elves. Some people met up with what looked like angelic figures to them. Some people said they met up with what looked like a normal human being, except complete perfection, which they couldn't describe in words. This is where the words don't do justice to how I'm explaining them. Like, there is no words in the English language that can explain, what they appeared to me as. Like, they were a human being, but they were perfect in every way that your brain couldn't almost handle the perfection of them. Some met up with light beings, like made entirely of light, and again, they got this sense of perfection and pure beauty and had a hard time describing it with words. The point is that every single person that went through this trial rocketed off, broke through some type of chrysanthemum membrane, whatever you want to call it, and was greeted by somebody on the other side. Now, whether it was a gnome, an elf, a perfect human being, a light being, an angelic being, some type of alien-looking thing, sometimes they were talking animals, every single time they were greeted with almost exactly, I think 90% of them gave them the exact same greeting. Hey, how are you doing? It's so amazing to see you. It's been so long since you've been here. Well, isn't that strange? The same thing Terence Mckenna went through before he even did these studies. It's been so long since you've been here. Meaning we've been there before. Maybe not in this physical form, or maybe they're referring to humanity as a whole, but maybe individually we haven't been there before, but our race as humans have been, or maybe we ourselves have been there before, but in a different form. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, when you think about this, DMT is only excreted at 3 points during your life: birth, dreaming, death. So, isn't it funny that when you come into this world, it's excreted, when you leave this world, it's excreted, and when you dream and escape your conscious reality for a subconscious reality or a dreaming reality, it's excreted. So every time you have like an entrance to this world or an exit to this world, it somehow involves DMT. Now, I've always been under the belief that people like Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking had either a slightly larger pineal gland or maybe like a defective pineal gland that actually leaked tiny amounts of DMT during conscious hours, after birth, before death, and while they were conscious and not dreaming. And that's what made them unlock the secrets of the universe, or most of them at least. I believe that's what made these people geniuses. Now, am I stating this as a fact? No, that's just my theory. Because they knew things that people shouldn't know, or there's no way that they could have figured that stuff out. Something else was going on. I mean, Einstein failed math and could barely tie his shoes. I know some of those things are myths, but some of them are true too. He did work as like a court clerk for a lot of his life before his genius was discovered. And then all of a sudden this man, comes up with the general theory of relativity. Quite impressive. Nikola Tesla was probably one of the most underrated people to have ever lived. Some of his inventions have never even been made. I mean, he was proposing back, decades and decades ago, a way to wirelessly transmit energy to the entire globe through what looked like an amazingly large Tesla coil with like a round metal piece on top of it. And basically it was basically Wi-Fi back like, I don't even remember how many years ago that was. But it was basically Wi-Fi that carried energy, or a Wi-Fi-like energy. It's the same type of thing that SpaceX and Airbus are trying to do now by putting up thousands and thousands of satellites to literally cover the entire globe. So no matter where you are on the globe, you can get good, decent internet access and speed. That requires thousands of satellites, and there's 2 different companies doing this. I think SpaceX alone wants to put up like 5,000 or something like that. Airbus, I don't even remember. Honestly, in my opinion, I believe SpaceX should stick to colonizing and terraforming Mars for our escape of Earth when we inevitably fuck it up. I believe Blue Origin should concentrate on building supply depots and launch pads on the moon, and like an Amazon store on the moon, and then use that to bring materials to SpaceX and work together hand in hand with SpaceX and be like the Amazon of the stars. I should think Virgin Galactic should concentrate on what they're concentrating on, and that's space tourism, and maybe build space hotels. Maybe build Virgin Galactic hotels on Mars when Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos get done, building it so people can actually survive there with domes and everything, and, we can start terraforming it. This is obviously down for future generations. And I believe Airbus should just stick to doing like the Neuralink system of internet so everyone can have access. And the reason I say that is because if 2 different companies try this, yes, Airbus might have a monopoly on the internet for around the world where people can't reach it, but so what? These satellites, there are so many of them that they're causing problems for observers here on Earth. Like our telescopes and satellites, they're causing space pollution, and it's actually hard to see sometimes what you're looking at when there's thousands of satellites in your view. Obviously space is vast, and 5,000 isn't going to clog it up. And when you combine that with what we've already put out there, in the amount that they want to put out there more, and then 2 separate companies trying to achieve the same goal, it's creating a space pollution, especially with all the junk that's come off of rockets when they lose, stage 1, stage 2, and all that. All that metal's still floating around. It doesn't go anywhere. So they're literally creating just a massive space pollution that's going to really screw up scientists down here using telescopes. I know I went a little off track with that. Trust me, this comes back around to the DMT. So I really think that if SpaceX and Blue Origin work together, SpaceX could become the colonization, terraforming company of Mars. I mean, there's an asteroid that orbits Mars. It contains over 13, I believe, trillion dollars or quadrillion dollars. I'd have to look that up to get the exact number of precious materials like platinum, diamonds, and other precious metals. If they were to mine that and send it back to Earth, it would completely destroy the global economy. Everything would become dirt cheap. There would be so much readily available. Diamonds wouldn't be worth anything. Platinum wouldn't be worth anything. So what would be smart to do is mine that asteroid, bring it to Mars, and trickle it into the global economy a little bit at a time to make, literally, you could probably make, you know, not just the first trillionaire, but quadrillionaire, so on and so forth, you know, to numbers I don't even know how to say the prefixes for future generations, and use all that money to literally create a whole nother planet that we can live on. The terraforming and the, you know, original bubbles and stuff and oxygen pressure and all that stuff, those domes that we're going to have to live in until it's properly terraformed. So if you trickle it in slowly, just use that one asteroid to trickle in slowly, it would fund the whole project of Mars and create a global economy for Mars as well. And like I said, Blue Origin could be the Amazon that delivers all the parts to SpaceX to help them colonize by building an Amazon on the moon and a launch pad on the moon, which they could have people living and working up there, creating like a housing unit on the moon that they could launch stuff off of straight to Mars, and then eventually build like an Amazon on Mars that can deliver goods and services to people. Where Airbus could do the Neuralink type system, which would reduce, two companies doing it, and reduce space pollution, and Virgin Galactic could be the people that get you there, to the hotels, to Mars, or to the moon, or to space hotels, you know? They could be like the taxis of it all. That's how I see it playing out. And that's where space is headed at the moment. But this is going to take hundreds, if not thousands of years. Will we even be around at that time? Honestly, I don't know. The way we're treating the Earth and global warming, it seems like every year as the polar ice caps melt more, new primordial viruses coming out of the ice, you know, that was frozen in the last ice age over 10,000 years ago. Basically, viruses that, I mean, could be even older than that could predate mankind, that have just been frozen in ice in Antarctica or other places that have been frozen over in Siberia. Obviously, the continents have shifted since the days of Pangea, and Antarctica used to once be green and lush and actually kind of nice, like a nice place to live. There's maps that depict from like the 1400s depict the coast of Antarctica perfectly. What's the word I'm looking here for? Authenticity of these maps are in question for a couple of them, but a couple of them are very hard to disprove. But they all show the coastline mapped perfectly of Antarctica before anyone had supposedly ever even been to Antarctica. And they all show it green with animals on it and pyramids and weird stuff like that. But that's a whole different conspiracy type theory thing for a whole nother day. And I definitely don't want to feed into the flat earthers. We live on a globe, and that is obviously apparent. So I definitely don't want to feed into their whole ice wall thing, you know, secrets about Antarctica conspiracy theory. The point being, though, so as these polar ice caps melt, these new mutations and viruses come out, and they could destroy us any day, really. I mean, look at COVID, what that's done. And that just happened to come from, most likely, a biolab mistake in China, or, if you want to believe the media, the Wuhan market. But I don't think it came from a dirty market where they sell fish. I think it was more likely an accident that happened at the lab that just happens to be right near that market. So, do we want to wait hundreds of thousands of years, or thousands of years, or even hundreds of years to start rolling on this stuff, even if the M drive is completed by China, or the warp drive is somehow invented, or the cold fusion somehow works out, or a perpetual motion machine of some type? No. I think we should put our research into DMT. Now, they continued on doing these studies to get back to the original thing, and they continued getting the same answers. Everybody rocketed it off. Everybody broke through a chrysanthemum, and everybody was greeted by a being who said, "It's been so long since you've been here, welcome back, we love it when you visit," things to those terms. These people would then go on and show you, the person on DMT or the person in the trial, around their village or world. And again, some people just couldn't use words from any language. Some people have researched multiple languages trying to describe what they saw and couldn't come up with the words that would justify what they were shown. They were there for 2 or 3 years. In reality, it was really only 5 or 6 minutes, but they were gone for 2 or 3 years. They can tell you everything that happened during those 2 or 3 years. They can tell you, as best as they can describe what these people looked like, and doing impossible things, like some people being able to just use their hand and create things out of thin air. And they would show them, people would ask a question, and they would just answer them in their mind without speaking, because some of them don't have mouths. Also, there was a lot of, I think it's called synesthesia, where you could you could see words and hear hear colors and see words, and a lot of that going on. Colors and words to them were kind of intermingled, and they could use this combination of you seeing them speak, or if they sung, you could see the music notes, and the colors could be heard with your ears. So you could hear what purple sounds like, you could hear what orange sounds like, and they would use these mechanics and just make things randomly out of air and give you little gifts or trinkets, or explain to you telepathically about how their civilization is and how they do this. Now, of course, the problem is that coming back from a DMT trip is like coming back from a dream, and you tend to forget very quickly the courses of what happened. Now, keep in mind, these people feel like they've been gone for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, when they've really only been, in this zone for about 5 or 6 minutes here on Earth in the physical realm. So, I believe the key is that we already have evidence that it secretes at birth, dreaming, and death. So every time there's some type of entering or leaving or out-of-body experience, it somehow involves DMT, which the pineal gland is also, referred to as the third eye, the all-seeing eye. It can see everything. There's lizards out there today that still have lenses over their pineal gland, like an actual lens, excuse me, my voice, and like an actual lens over their pineal gland, as it used to be an eye, but over evolutionary times, it's been no longer needed for whatever reason. But that proof is still there. You can see these lizards with lenses on their pineal glands, suggesting there was a third eye there. So instead of waiting around, I would like the United States to put some more money into research of chemical travel. There is merit to this theory. You guys can debate me down in the comments if you want. You can tell me what you know about it, what you don't know about it, ask questions about it. I read every comment. I'll answer every comment about this. But I believe we should put more money into where Terence McKenna and his predecessors were putting their faith in. And that is, if DMT is present when we're born, when we die, and when we're dreaming, then there's something to it. If 50 plus people throughout several different trials all tell you the same story without being able to interact with each other, not really even knowing what they've been given or how much they've been given, and tell you the same exact story, that they rocketed off, ended in a different place, broke through a chrysanthemum, met some type of species or thing or object or something they could barely describe, or perfection, or whatever you want to call it, and watched them do impossible things, were explained how their civilizations worked, and and greeted you with, "It's been so long since you've been here, it's nice to see you back," that's more than a coincidence. That's proof. I mean, all 50 of these people did not, for anyone that's tried acid or mushrooms or psychedelics, you know that every trip is different just for you. So having 50 plus people in each single trial without interacting with each other all tell you the same thing, there's some merit to that. There's something there. You can even go on YouTube and watch DMT trips. And yes, these people are idiots. They are literally filming themselves smoking DMT, and then you watch them pass out. And then about 5 minutes later, they wake up and tell you what they saw, what they went through. Some people don't make it to the rocket phase or the propulsion phase because they get scared. Some others do, but they're usually out for 5 to 8 minutes. They wake up and they tell you everything. And you can look through thousands of these on YouTube. Again, they're goddamn idiots for filming that. Don't do that. Don't try it. Don't do it. If you want to be involved with it, wait for America to try to do some clinical testing on it and sign up for that. Don't do it illegally. With that said, even they say the same things that the people in the trials did. And it's just amazing and blows my mind. So I believe DMT is actually a chemical key that is somehow connected to our consciousness. Because at this point, we don't even know what consciousness really is. We don't know if there's a flat timeline where everything's predetermined. Like if you were to take a time travel machine in 100 years and go back and kill Hitler, like before the war even started, well, you'd go back to the future and nothing would have changed. Because you were predetermined to go back and kill him. And it was already decided that you were going to do that at that specific moment. That's a predetermined timeline. Or there's the wavy timeline, where our actions do affect. So if somebody were to go back in time, it would affect the future. And then there is a third timeline that is like the multiverse theory, that every single decision or reaction, every little minute thing, like when you stop and make a decision, that's where the reality breaks off. So basically this is like a forking timeline. Every time you make a decision, you are now on this timeline, as opposed to the straight one you were going. You came straight and you're like, do I want to wear white shoes today or black? Well, you've now just forked off into a different timeline of reality, consciousness, whatever you want to say it. So we don't even understand this stuff. A lot more research has to be done in it. So I say, why not let's put some money into DMT, which Peruvians for hundreds, longer than that, have been showing, and knowing things, that these ayahuasca shamans, knowing things that they shouldn't know, and knowing things about space and travel that they shouldn't know, and, or would have no way of knowing. Also the people, like I said, in the trials, all telling the same thing, even though they weren't allowed to interact with each other, over several trials with hundreds of different people, and people even doing it today illegally, or going down to Peru and doing it legally, if you go through all the steps you need to participate in it. There's actually a show, I think it's Expedition Unknown or Destination Fear, where Josh Gates goes down, takes all the legal steps, and he goes down and he takes ayahuasca. And he tells you pretty much basically the same thing. So what I'm pretty much getting at here is DMT seems to be the key to traveling to different dimensions, or traveling to different parts of our universe. Where it brings us, I can't tell you. Who these people are meeting, I don't know. They could be the same people that just take on different forms to whatever is easiest for that person to comprehend, or they could all be different species and we're just ending up in different dimensions or different multiverses or different timelines or different parts of the universe. But if we need it to enter the earth, we need it to leave the earth, and it secretes while we're dreaming, while we're in a subconscious and different reality. How do we know that when we're dreaming, that's not an actual life we're living, and we're just visiting there? DMT is secreted, we're visiting this place, and we're living that life, and things that happen in there. But then the next night, DMT, is secreted, and we visit a different place, and sometimes maybe that explains why we dream, or, rather than categorizing and putting your memories where they're supposed to be. That's basically the theory of why we dream right now, is to have your brain have a chance to file away important memories where it needs to and clean out unimportant memories. Except for those exceptional people that like the kid from London, or I forget his name, that can remember everything. He can tell you what he was wearing, what the weather was, what the sports scores were, 15 years ago. With people like memories like that. But so that could be why sometimes in your dreams you recognize people, or there are people there with you, or they claim that in dreams you can't see people's faces. I can 100% dispute that, because I dream all the time and I can clearly as day make out people's faces. Sometimes they're people I've never met before, sometimes they're people that I know. Also, they say like you can't see colors or taste stuff in dreams. I can dispute that 100%. I had a dream a couple years ago where I clearly saw a bright orange Reese's peanut butter cup, and I remember tasting it, and it tasted just the same in my dream as it did here. There's also the type of dreaming which is called, probably should have written a script for this, but lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is when you realize that you're dreaming as you're dreaming. And once you realize you're in a dream, your conscious mind can take over while you're in subconscious reality, and you can do whatever you want to do. And I've had this happen before. It can actually be a little bit scary the first time it happens to you. But I had this habit of always picking up my vape and taking puffs on it all day long. These are some of the tips to how you lucid dream, are, like routines. Like look at your watch every 5 minutes. At some point in the near future, you're going to have a dream where you look at your watch and it's just not right, and it's going to trigger to you, this isn't right. I remember going to bed, I'm sleeping. For this, in my case, I didn't do it on purpose. I just had a habit of waking up and taking a hit off my vape when I would get up. And in my dream, I went to hit my vape and something wasn't right about it. And I realized, oh, wait a minute, I'm sleeping. I've always had the ability to wake myself up instantly out of sleep. Like, if I'm having a bad dream and someone's chasing me, I don't know why or how, maybe it's passed down through genetics or something, but I can realize, Peter, you're sleeping, wake up, and I'll instantly wake up. Eyes wide open. Like, I can wake myself up out of a dream at any point. It's really weird. Lucid dreaming, to me, the first time I did it, it scared me so bad that I actually did that. I woke myself up out of sleep. But I've gotten used to it since then, and it's happened quite a few times, and I've learned to fly in my dreams and other things. I mean, these aren't unusual to dreams. If I was claiming I was flying around here in Maine, yeah, you'd be like, this guy's crazy. But, of course, keep in mind this was all dreaming. And who knows if this DMT secreted while I'm dreaming is what led me to this subconscious reality. And the trigger of the vape just not seeming right clued me in on the fact that I was dreaming and in this subconscious reality, and let me take over consciously and make decisions. And maybe in that realm, flight is possible. I was able to float around. I wasn't flying like Superman, like I couldn't zip around, but I could levitate off the ground and kind of go up maybe like 30 to 50 feet and just kind of float around slowly. So I just don't understand. Like, we're running out of time here. Just the COVID alone, has pushed up the timeline. The melting ice caps. You can do a research for videos on YouTube of how long it's going to be before certain places are underwater. Some places that we love right now, like the Maldives, the Keys in Florida, are going to be underwater in less than 30 years. We're running out of time, and we're kind of putting in a last-ditch effort to be green and organic, but not everyone's committing. And of course, big oil, they want their money. Did you know that there was more billionaires made during the COVID pandemic than previous years? So as everyone else got poor, the richer got rich. It's pretty sad when you think about it. I've always been in the class where I was in the gray area. I made too little to get Obamacare, because if you make too little, they say, well, you don't need Obamacare because you can get your state's free health insurance. But no, my state's health insurance was, or it's called main care, was at a level where I was making like $97 too much to get it. So too little for Obamacare, too much for main care. And literally wasn't able to get health insurance for 10 years while there's more billionaires being created during the COVID quarantine, where they're sending us what? It was promised $1,200 for 14 days of a lockdown, and that ended up having to last us almost 9 months before they put out another stimulus, which again was only like some stupid amount. What was it, like $600? And then they gave you another $1,400 the next January. All in total, I think from stimulus, I've gotten that would have been $2,000, so $3,200 for over a year of being kept inside and not being able to work, as I worked as a mental health rehabilitation technician, and I was let go after a decade of working in the medical field, which is why I'm now working for, I'm not going to give the name out, but $1 billion auto parts company, and took a complete career change. COVID completely changed the trajectory of my life. Also, I do streaming and videos on the side. The point of this is we're reaching the 45-minute mark, and if you've stayed this far, I'm very impressed. You obviously have a love for science and knowledge like I do, and a thirst for wanting to know more, and a thirst for wanting to save humanity. And we need to put the money into the research of DMT development, because there is something there. There is something to it. There is a way that we can use this chemical as a key to travel to different dimensions, to different parts of space, faster than the speed of light. Faster than a wormhole. Faster than information or anything, like I said, even light can go. We can get there instantaneously through this process. And it doesn't involve billions of dollars going into microwave radiation M drives or warp drives or perpetual motion machines or cold fusion or any of the other things. Cold fusion would still be great, don't get me wrong, that's kind of an outlier because we can use that for like infinite energy. But also like Nikola Tesla, like I was talking about, he said the keys to the universe were 3, 6, and 9. Do I know what that means? No, I have no fucking clue what that means. But 3, 6, and 9, somehow he knows something that we don't. I mean, and he could have given everyone free electricity, decades ago. What was it? I can't remember the exact year. I've done so much research on Nikola Tesla that it just, the years get confused in my head exactly what year it was that they destroyed his laboratory and pulled out all their funding, and, Edison basically sabotaged his entire career. And now he's just known as like the crazy pigeon-loving, guy that, would rather marry a bird or his cousin, rarely ever photographed of women. He's most underrated guy of all time, definitely. There's probably some still inventions of him that I know that the government has sealed up and blacklisted that they haven't even released. They could probably give free energy to everybody, Even, think about it. He created the radio, and Marconi just happened to beat him to the patent, But he created the radio quite a little bit a while before Marconi created it. So with that said, I'm going to end the video here. I really appreciate it if you're still watching. I know it was a long video, and this will be like a recurring series. Like I said, most of my videos are going to be reviews on products, people, things, and puzzles. Basically the 3 Ps and then different things. So products, people, and puzzles. Products, like I said, I have the Acer Nitro 5 gaming laptop, the mini dash cam, and things like that coming up. People will be doing the ASMR review that also fits into the thing category. That's going to be 3-part. The first part will be ASMR, how not to do it, and I have some very good examples on how not to do ASMR, trust me. The second part will be me trying to do ASMR, because how can I give an honest review if I haven't tried it myself? I watch a shitload of it, but if I haven't tried it myself, then I can't give a fair review. And then the final one will be ASMR, the top 5 ASMR artists, period. And I'll be going over each and every one of them and explaining why they're the top 5 picks, for me at least, and why you should definitely check them out. For puzzles, sometimes I do shorts on quick puzzle solves, or we can do live streams on puzzle solves, or like I said, Kyle Hill type office hours, question and answer type things, or we could do online or live boxing openings and reviews, like on the spot, you know, under your guys' suggestions. And then, of course, I also do gameplay content, and that will be mainly based on Twitch, and I'll also upload it to this channel. In hindsight, I probably should have created a different channel where I did my gaming on one channel and I did all my reviews, the triple Ps, you know, products, people, puzzles, and things on this channel. But I didn't, and I kind of like keeping it at one channel, you know, for the people that don't want to watch the gameplay footage. You know, they can watch my reviews, and I make sure when I put a review video out that it's always the end boxes that bring you to other videos always link to other reviews instead of gameplay footage or gameplay reviews. And during my gameplay videos, I always make sure the box is linked to other gameplay videos so that people that come there for reviews aren't getting referred to gameplay and whatnot. I'm trying to do it in the best interest of you guys. The point of the channel, if you've seen my first video or read the description, is, you know, I come from a small, poor community. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we can start doing live streams on YouTube. I will be live streaming on Twitch until then. And then we're going to use any money made from the video to give back to the community. Our goal is to, it's kind of a science experiment, but also giving back to the community, is to find 3 homeless people and buy them an apartment, a wardrobe, food, spending money, and a vehicle for an entire year, and update with them every 3 months and see if it's made their life worse, the same, better, how much they've changed themselves if they wanted to, or if they just liked who they were and went back to their old ways, or, you know, it's not meant to try to change anybody. It's just to see what people can do if they're given the means to do something. Because a lot of people are out there that some of them are friggin' geniuses. Like a lot of minorities too. I'm not trying to get into a racial thing, but my theory on race is, how can you be racist when humanity is a race? All right, humanity's a race. All right, there's not different humanities on Earth. So basically, racists aren't racist, they're colorist, which is the most stupid thing I've ever fucking heard of. If you dislike someone because of the color of their skin, then you're just an idiot. I mean, really, like, you're coloring your favorite painting or something. You're not going to use yellow because you hate The Simpsons. You're not going to use black because you're colorist. You're not going to use whatever color, whatever. I'm not going to associate colors to races. That's just stupid. But basically, you can't be racist, as there's only our race on this earth, humanity. Yes, there's other species. You could be speciesist if you don't like dogs or cats. I mean, I know people that prefer dogs over cats and just fucking hate cats for whatever reason. I personally like cats. We got the little guy sitting right over there. His name is Hares the cat. But yeah, you can be speciesist, but you can't be racist, because we're the only race. And so that means you're being colorist, and that means you are a fucking moron. That's just my opinion on it. So without trying to delve too further into that, basically there's people out there, and because they're minorities, they're being held back. And because they're not given the means to do, or didn't have the advantages growing up to do what other people could. Like Donald Trump, you know, oh, I wanted to start a business. Well, here, son, take $1 million loan. You know, see what you can do with it. I bet there's some held back minorities and different ethnic groups that if you handed $1 million to, could probably change the face of the world. I don't doubt it for a second. So, with that said, we're nearing up on an hour. I didn't intend to make the video this long, but we need more people like that have the means and have the advantages equal to everyone else. And those people can change the world. Because right now, I bet we're suppressing so many people from so many ethnicities and backgrounds that probably, given the means and the advantages of other people, could completely change the face of reality itself. And maybe one of those people does research into DMT and realizes we can get to different dimensions, different universes, or different parts of our own universe faster than the speed of light through a simple chemical that our body already naturally produces. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this new type of video. Like I said, it's called Across the Table. It's basically just a podcast. I'll be doing these from time to time. Like I said, if you want to see my gaming aspects, you can watch my gaming videos. They're all on the same channel, mostly on Hearthstone. I did a little bit of Battlegrounds, duels, ranked, stuff like that. Or you can watch me live stream on Twitch starting after October 12th, which I'll be doing Hearthstone Mercenaries. Or if you just like the reviews, the people, the products, the puzzles, and the things, then you can just watch those videos. Those are also on the same channels, and just disregard the gaming videos. And finally, if you like the Q&A type across the table podcast style videos, then let me know and I'll put out more. And we can do live streams where we do Q&As and stuff. So if you like the video, please, I know it's free, it only takes a couple seconds, but smash the hell out of that like button. Do it for me, and if not for me, do it for the community. It's free. You can always change your mind. Share to as many other social media sites as you can, as it will get moved around more, and it'll help beat and defeat the YouTube algorithm, which we all know, love and hate. And but yeah, hitting that like button, watching the full video, and sharing it really helps, and it'll really help this channel grow, and I would really appreciate it. So I love you guys. I love you all Grim Legion members. I love all future Grim Legion members. I love everyone else. Everyone has their own opinion. So if you made it this far, again, thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon. Grim Claws out.